Welcome back to the Frozen Card Gaming YouTube page. So this weekend the Danish National Championship took place, and Ulrik managed to get top 8 with Ignister. So Ulrik, could you show us your deck?
Yeah, so I played pretty standard Ignister, I would say. But I have some things that are pretty, like I would say, not weird, but a little bit different. 3 Achichi, 3 Picari, obviously the ones that are your main starters. 2 Doyon. This is actually your best card in the deck if you ever go into like grinds, which you do against like the actual better meta decks. If you ever go out of this card, you will lose the game. 1 Barur. Yeah, this card's actually just like sort of a brick, but it still makes you like sort of play the game. One match. No, in top 8, I almost lost because I just drew this card and no other starters. 1 Danmari. I was actually cutting this card until like not that long ago, because in theory, if you just make the 6k guy, you never ever need this card. Most people just scoop if you make the 6k, which you're able to do pretty much all the time. I don't think I ever made a 4k guy today. But even though like this card is still assurance, it is something that is considered to be cuttable though. Always side it out going second. 1 Chiri and 1 Hiyari. So I've seen some people cut Hiyari. The reason you still play Hiyari is only because it increases the chance of you making the 6k guy by a lot, because Gachiri is not searchable by any other card in the deck except I Meet You, because Achichi adds level 4 or lower, and the same does Sign Up Mining. So but this card is still the best extender by far. You always go access code with this card if you have the ability to, because that way you're actually also protected from Nib, because they can't respond to the access code effect, which you make Chainlink 4 if you also have Update Jammer. So playing Hiyari makes it that much more consistent to make the 6k guy, and most people can't out that. So if you're able to summon that, you just win. The problem with it is that opening this card, it doesn't do that much at all. So, but basically, what it would be replaced with is just more hand traps, because you can't really play more engine, except someone plays like Lost World. But I might talk about that. Then I played actually a crap ton of hand traps. I played 3 Ash, 3 Whaler, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Impermanence.
Why no Diddy Crow?
So Diddy Crow, we just well, basically space, because like it would basically be the 13th, 14th, and 15th slot. But Nibiru is just more powerful than Diddy Crow. That would be like the ones I would consider cut for Diddy Crow. But Diddy Crow is like, it's not that great against a lot of decks, and especially in the Danish Nationals, there was a lot of rogue. And thus Diddy Crow is just weak. But Nibiru was fine. I played a lot of decks where Nibiru was not that great against. But even against those decks, Nibiru was like, I wouldn't really want Nibiru to be any other card, because those decks I would just crucify anyway. And then any of these other hand traps weren't that great either. But of course, then you win. But it's against those harder decks that Nibiru is good against, which this deck has a harder matchup against, where Nibiru is good and it helps you win the match. So I'm actually really happy about this hand trap variant, because I earlier played a lot more board breakers. I just play like one of each for crossout targets. I'm not playing crossout. The reason is that if you end on Nibiru, you're probably not gonna lose anyway. And crossout is just such a weird card, because your opponent has to open hand traps to do it. And I'm actually really happy I didn't play crossout today, because I didn't really get hand trapped that much. It's like the Danish people have just not understood that hand traps are actually good.
True.
And that's despite like like a mine being really popular still.
Yeah, because you're only lost in Swiss West against like Mystic Mindburn.
Yeah, I lost round 1 to Mystic Mindburn because I tried to play around the Mice of the Land and didn't OTK him, but it turned out he didn't have the Mice of the Land. That was just dumb. Yeah, and I just like if you would play anything else than this, it's like Mystic Man Outs, but Mystic Man Outs is just dumb as well because you can just take the
risk.
no, you can just take the loss round 1, and no, I mean game 1, and game 2 and 3 you have all these breakers, and you know this deck is so explosive that you just need to resolve one of these breakers, and you can just OTK them afterwards. Yeah. It's not like a slower deck or something like that, and you can just push through any back row if they have anything else than mine. So I'm actually happy about these hand traps. I would actually consider playing even more. If I would play more, I would probably play either Mourner, maybe Ogre.
Mourner's nice.
Yeah, so I'm actually happy about the hand trap lineup. For spells, 3 island. So I've seen people play 1 island, I've seen people play 2 island, I've seen people play 3 and 4 islands with terraforming. And the reason people play all those different ratios is because that drawing the card is not really that good if they never draw hand traps. No, if you never get hand trapped on the right card. The thing is though that, and the Danish people apparently didn't know this either, the one card to hand trap is Dark Infant at Ignister. This is one of the most important cards to hit, because if you're not able to get to Ignister Island, you can't play. At least not extensively. So, the reason I play 3 is because that even if I get hand trapped on Dark Infant, I can a lot of the time still play the game. But don't play 4, because playing 4, it's already a pretty bricky card. If you draw it and they don't hand trap you, it doesn't do anything. So you'd rather actually use the space for hand traps and other good cards. So I thought 3 was good. I think I would continue to play 3. Triple I Meet You, of course. 1 Idle Reborn. Some people are playing 1, some people playing 2. I would never play more than 2, but I'm still unsure. Like the second one didn't really come up that much, but it's definitely a card considering playing 2 of, because in the grind game, if you ever get to the grind game, your basically grind win condition is Idle Reborn Doyon. So you Idle Reborn back Doyon, and then you link it away to add back this one. And you can constantly just loop this, and if you ever get out of that loop, you lose the game. Or at least you can try to OTK as long as you have that loop going. So that's the reason why playing 2 might be actually good. It's also an extender, so if you open this card together with any of the starters, you actually make the 6k one because you just send Hiari. You're not able to send Donmari and have a negate, but that's not that important. Most people don't really try to go for the link, the 6300 access code. It's really hard to make. That's for the first thing. And the second thing is that even if they make it, you can just go Wind Pegasus, destroy access code, and you just OTK them next turn. So it's just bad. Yeah. Then, next cards are just triple sand mining, of course. It's pretty bad actually, because like if you lose a card. But you still have to play it. Then I play Triple Forbidden Droplet. This card was... The theory behind it was that going second against Sword Soul, it would be insane because you just disable their whole field. But I didn't go second against Sword Soul today, I think. No, yeah, at least I didn't draw this one. And against all the other matchups, it wasn't really that good because it's at least an egg one. Even though the theory is that you can also send island and reset the island, which is good, it makes this have a bit more value. It's really good going second, it's really good generically, but you side it out a lot because there's just better cards against those matchups, which neg you less. So I would actually, if I would play more hand traps, this is the card I would cut.
Alright.
Then I play the Call by the Grave. Yeah, this was alright, I guess. Everybody says ban this card. I don't actually agree. I don't think the card is that great. Then I play. At least it wasn't that good this time. But yeah, 2 Pot of Desires. So most people don't play Pot of Desires in this deck. The guy that topped YCS Hartford did, but he played going second at Ignister. This card is a bit all over the place. So this deck is like, it's pretty consistent, but it's not as consistent playing through at least 1 or 2 hand traps. So if you get hand trapped, you can at least go Pot of Desires, get some hand traps, and maybe set up Heat Soul. But this card also adds a bit of consistency. So if you don't draw anything, you can just Pot of and you draw Pot of Desires, you can Pot of Desires, maybe draw into Engine. I'm pretty happy about this card. Sometimes it banishes everything, and if you banish 2 Doyon, you're actually just out of the game. It's pretty bad. So unless you somehow set up the 6k guy or 4k guy and they just can't out it. I would continue playing this going forward. Some people are playing like Lost World and what's it called? Not Extravagance, but Prosperity. Prosperity, I don't really see how you play in the grind with that card, but I guess if you don't aim to actually play the grind, it's pretty okay. Lost World has the same problems as sign-up mining, being in Egg 1. And the deck is already pretty consistent, so I wouldn't say playing anything else than Pot of Desires is that much worth it. Extra, play 2 Dark Infant at Ignister. Would actually consider playing a 3rd one, but that only comes up if the format is really grindy. It was not, so 2 was correct. At least this tournament. 2 Splash Mage. The second one definitely comes up a lot. You make one during the combo, and if they're able to out it, you make the second Splash Mage, or and if you go second, they may negate the first Splash Mage. You may end on something that doesn't OTK, and you just make the second Splash Mage the next turn and actually OTK. So the second 2 Splash Mage is, I feel it's a must. 1 Cyber's Wicked for the combo, it's not that special. 1 Dark Templar, of course, the Arrival Cybers at Ignister. 1 Transcode Talker, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul. I'm really happy about this card because it actually makes it so that it's possible to play if you get like Ashed on Dark Infant or Nibbed on Dark Templar. If you still have like 2 extenders, you're able to play through Nib if you end on Heat Soul. And with the Sires also, if you have like the Sires and Heat Soul, you're able to draw a ridiculous amount of cards, and you're actually in a surprisingly good position from there. I just summoned Heat Soul once today, but it was pretty good then. 1 Update Jammer, of course, 1 Access Code for OTK, 1 Security Dragon, so just, yeah. Security Dragon, I didn't actually summon it today. The theory is that if you have a Nibiru token or something like that, you need to have something that's generic, just 2 monsters, to be able to link it away. So I'd say this is pretty standard at this point, but it didn't actually come up. It's really nice to be able to break some boards, but some boards are just too strong and you just can't do it. But the theory is that you can bounce this guy and then you make access code afterwards. But most of the time you just make an unaffected access code with Gotshiri and it doesn't matter. Yes. Then I play 1 Link Spider. This is, yeah, for Nibiru token. I would play it, but it doesn't come up that much. Shouldn't be cut though. This is basically the one flex spot in the deck, so yeah, of course I play Wind because it's actually Ignister. That's not interesting. This card's nuts, by the way. The spin effect basically makes it so that the 6k guy is basically an outable, because if you out it, you still lose. So the graveyard effect is just that good, and most of the time, if you make the arrival cybers, your goal is to revive this guy to pop the back row, which is also really good. So this card is, I would never play the other level 7 guy. It doesn't come up at all. And ending on arrival cybers plus that other level 7 guy, Cybers Quantum Dragon it's called, is not that good at all. It doesn't solve any of the problems this deck has. This card is still a lot better. Yeah, the Light Dragon is the controversial card. So this is the flex spot. Some people play like Topologic Bomber Dragon. Some people play something else. But I settled on this card because the theory is that sometimes you're able to just, if they don't have that many disruptions, you can just, or if they have a lot of disruptions but you have a good enough hand, you can start with making Light Dragon, try to pop a guy, bait some negates, go into Security Dragon, bait more negates, and then go into Access Code. So you're able to bait everything before you go into Access Code. That didn't come up today. I never summoned it today. Oh yeah, I actually did. I actually did summon it today. To revive Access Code. Because the battle effect is pretty funny. You can revive a Link monster when another Cybers monster inflicts damage to your opponent. Which makes you be able to make some pretty funny plays, but it's not necessary at all. You could probably win from any position at that point. So, but what is nice with this card is that it is a light monster with 2300 attack, so you can reveal it with I Meet You to search Picari, and that's sometimes relevant if you want to get to Idle Reborn.
All right.
Then for the side deck, play Triple Token Collector for Sword Soul. I didn't draw this card today. 2 draws. So this card was in theory against like Punk, and this was actually pretty interesting because I played a lot of Striker today as well. I didn't actually draw this card though, so it's kind of I'm quite unsure how actually this card performed, but because I didn't draw it, could probably be any other spots. But it's important that these cards, you should probably play like a third card that's also specifically against Punk. Triple Crossout. So you always side this card going first. I actually almost didn't draw this card going first today. But it's the only out to Nibiru, which makes you you probably have to play it. It's a really weird card. I think the only time I used this card today was to banish Desires, to stop a Desires in Sword Soul. Which is like the scenario that's not supposed to come up. That's just how niche this card is. Yeah. So even though this deck loses to hand trap, as I said today, I almost didn't get hand trapped, almost at all. At least not at so important places. I almost made Arrival Cybers every single time, and that's because I played a lot of Striker, which main deck's mine, and apparently either they didn't draw hand traps or they hand trapped the wrong place. As I said, people still don't know where to hand trap this deck. If you don't know, this is the easy explanation of how to hand trap this deck. The most important card to hand trap, if you have 1 hand trap, you hand trap Dark Templar at Ignister. If you have 2 hand traps, you hand trap Dark Infant at Ignister. And even if you have 1 hand trap, sometimes it's correct to just hand trap Dark Infant at Ignister. But if you open 3 hand traps, you can hand trap the normal summon Achichi at Ignister or Picari. That's the correct line to hand trap. Yes, and that's the only time this card is good. And if people are not playing as many hand traps, this card doesn't become that good. But But yeah, I still played it in the side because you want to increase your chances going second, because people will side Nibiru if they don't already main deck it. Then I played 2 Twin Twisters, Harpies, Feather Duster, and Red Reboot. Yeah, this is actually, I feel like it's too few spell trap removals. Going first, I always sided 1 Twin Twister against Sword Soul and a lot of decks that I thought could side mine. Yeah, I cut the 3rd Twin Twisters for Harpy's Feather Duster. I was lucky to not get Anti-Spell today, because this deck loses really hard to Anti-Spell. Oh yeah, I actually did get Anti-Spell today, like in the 2nd round or something. But then I just set, I drew Harpy's Feather Duster, I think, and I set it, waited a turn, and I was able to out the board. So this, yeah, it feels too few, but it was somehow also enough. I might just have been lucky to actually draw them though. But yeah, it's really important to play spell trap removal in this deck. Maybe even in the main deck, because of how bad this deck loses to some of these really popular cards like mine, Anti-Spell, and some Floodgates, which is really annoying. Yeah. Then the last 3 cards are just 3-dimensional barriers for Sword Soul and something like that. This deck can't play Ibli, which Matthias topped with, even though he didn't actually use it that much. Because it's so important to use your normal summon on a Chi-Chi, because the only time you don't need to use your normal summon on that is if you draw the field spell, and that's just 33%. So yeah, D-Barrier, I didn't actually draw it, so.
Alright, do you have some shoutouts?
Yeah, shoutouts to FCG, even though I'm not really that part of a team, I'm basically in the background all the time. And Norway needs to get more tops and more representation in Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments.
We need to get the nationals.
Yeah,
so
that's...
I have to go to Denmark to play.
Yeah, next year.
But thank you, Ulrik. We will see you guys next time.